Hi guys, in my line of work, I have the privilege of coaching presidents, deans and CEOs, individuals who by any measure hold enviable positions. Yet, there is a surprisingly common thread. Every now and then, they show up to my coaching sessions dissatisfied with life. Life happens to all of us, and it's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed at times. I'm not exempt from these emotions either. However, dwelling at the bottom of the cesspool hampers our ability to fulfill the meaningful work we are asked to do. As a coach, it is my responsibility to be a cheerleader, lifting people from the bottom. I empathize with them. I try to elevate them from the funk so they can see beautiful blue skies. How do I do this? I employ 3 strategies or tools that are actually helpful to me personally to stay away from complaining. You can use these tools too to lift yourself up. Let's get started. Do you act like a Debbie Downer at times? Do you spend more time noticing the glass is half empty than half full? If so, you're not alone. This kind of pessimism is pervasive. Just open any news channel, you will get the taste of it. Unfortunately, we human beings struggle every day with complaining. People complain about everything. Taste of their coffee, bad weather, traffic jams, too much work, nasty boss, and so on. It is natural to be disappointed sometimes, but we should not let it become a part of our character. I love this quote by Mary Engelbreit. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. Going through life being dissatisfied and finding faults is a waste of time. It is so easy to fall into the trap of complaining about everything, isn't it? So, what do you usually complain about? Work, your people, traffic, or weather? This habit can be very damaging, guys. It can keep you stuck in a life of mediocrity. So let me ask you, how is this habit influencing your work, your relationships? How is it shaping your future? And here is the catch. What if I told you there is an incredible power in shifting from complaining to praising, to actually living life? It's like trading a dreary black and white movie for a vibrant technicolor adventure. Like trading boring green scrubs for an aristocratic suit. Are you ready to quit whining and moaning and start living? Let me transfer some of my positivity to you. After all, optimism is contagious. I was born on a full moon night, which is why I see life as a brightly glowing space with moonlight and shiny stars. But guys, some of my optimism is not genetic. It is acquired and comes from lifetime of experiences, reading books and scriptures. One book I love is The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. This book will transform you. Okay, so before we get to the 3 strategies, let me ask you, why should we put an end to complaining? Because our cells are constantly eavesdropping on our conversations. The body interprets whining and complaining as signals of stress, a threat to its well-being. Emotions stemming from this negative attitude shifts the body's processes from growth mode to defensive mode. Picture your cells as construction crews, ready to build and repair. However, when you are whining and complaining, they transform into guards standing still in a defensive mode. They stop normal functioning, in a sense. With no growth, there is no cell renewal. So the question is your attitude stimulating growth and repair in your cells, or is it keeping them on guard and stagnant? So let's talk about the first technique to shift from complaining to praising. This is called comparison alternative. Earlier this week, I encountered a challenging case of breast cancer in a mastectomy patient. This young lady had 3 cancer spots in one breast and 2 in the opposite one. The cancer was aggressive and had already gone to her lymph nodes in the axilla. As I completed her extensive 6-page pathology report, I felt so overwhelmed thinking about her situation. When I face such stark realities of life, which I often do in my line of work, I am reminded of how trivial my daily complaints are, whether it's my own aches and pains, the weather, or if stock market plummeted. All these grievances pale in comparison to the immense challenges my patients and many others face. This technique, called comparison alternative, is my number one trick to escape complaining and self-pity mode. I have a ritual that helps me maintain this perspective. Each time I make a diagnosis of a serious disease in my patient, I pause to say a prayer for them and express gratitude for the blessings I have in my own life. This practice is so powerful. It helps me build resilience. The technique of comparison alternative is an incredible antidote to complaints. Now, let me talk about a second strategy. Practice of gratitude, as I mentioned in my earlier video on having the right perspective, is a phenomenal technique in shifting your outlook. But what if you're maxed out on being grateful? What if your gratitude practice begins to feel like a chore, or worse, something that causes you to stress? Then try this second technique called mental subtraction. I find it more effective than practice of gratitude. You won't complain about your job if you didn't have a job. You won't be grumpy about that food you were served if you couldn't afford to eat at a restaurant. You won't complain about long lines at the car wash if you did not have a car. You won't complain about your boss if you did not have a job. Mental subtraction is basically imagining what your life would be like if you didn't have the things you're complaining about. It will help you to stop complaining about your annoying kids, spouse, neighbors, dirty dishes, laundry, bad weather. In a scientific publication titled Pursuit of Happiness, Effects of Mental Subtraction and Alternative Comparisons, the researchers concluded that happiness increases over time with use of strategies like mental subtraction and comparison against inferior alternatives. So now let me talk about the third trick. In my professional life, I have tackled numerous stressful situations: mergers, acquisitions, implementing new programs, working on compensation plans, job contracts, disruptive physicians. When I'm stressed, I deliberately immerse myself in the present moment, concentrating on what's happening right now rather than worrying about the future. So the third strategy I employ to let go of daily annoyances and serious issues of life is living in the present moment. I recall a recent conversation with my husband when I shared a significant problem I was facing. He said to me, "Poonam, this is terrible. How will you handle it?" My response was simple. I will go to work, focus on reporting diagnosis for my patients, and get busy. That's it. Get busy. It will do wonders for you. This practice is particularly effortless for me as a pathologist. Working with a microscope and closely examining patients' tissue, I become like a detective, trying to find out what is wrong with the tissue. In those moments, I forget about my own problems and everything else in the world, at least temporarily. While you might not be a pathologist, you can engage in activities that demand your full attention, like reading or creative writing or doing dirty dishes, cleaning your pantry. So here I offer you 3 strategies to help you shift from complaining to praising and living. Number 1, comparison alternative. Number 2, mental subtraction. 3, living in the present moment. Guys, I challenge you to go 24 hours without complaining and whining, not even once. Then observe how your life transforms. Your health will improve and your people will love you. They would be so attracted to you. Let's navigate life not by complaining about what we lack, what went wrong, but by celebrating what we have. I know I am not talking to whiners, but if you find yourself in this funk, then you have some work to do. Ask yourself, how is it impacting my life and those of who I love? Guys, instead of complaining, use these strategies and sing a song of praise. Take charge.